जो मैंने रिकॉर्ड किया था, सो उससे डिस्टर्बेंस नहीं आती। रेडी?
Yes, 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 yes. Okay.
वेट
This this disclaimer में बोल देते हैं कि there will be spoilers and this entire most of this video at least will
So
be in
for
English.
okay, so for the 8 people watching our full video, sorry, spoiler alert, and for all the countless people who find our shorts, bad luck.
Let's first go through the how should I pronounce everything? You would know better. So
Yeah.
let's first get to that. How do I pronounce the name of this film?
So the name of the film is Vettaiyan. Vettaiyan means hunter.
Vettaiyan. Okay,
Vettaiyan.
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 All right. Um, uh, the rest I think is fine. I know most of
Yeah,
the
I mean, most of the
yeah.
character names, I was also going through most of the character names. And okay, I'll give you a bit of an insight on why the name Vettaiyan, because you've seen Bhool Bhulaiya, right?
Yes.
So Bhool Bhulaiya, Rajinikanth did the Tamil version of Bhool Bhulaiya back in 2005, and he basically played the role of Akshay Kumar's. What?
Yeah, yeah.
And in the original story, in the end, what happens is you have the Raja who had killed Monjolika. So in the Tamil version, that was kind of changed a bit to make that the Raja was played by Rajnikant in the flashback, and that character's name is Vettaiyan. So Rajnikant's portrayal of that character is very iconic, very iconic. So he kind of got a lot of accolades for that, which is why it is so iconic that it is a pun. This movie's name is kind of a pun. It is a koina, kind of a cash
The
grab, and
reference.
it's a referential kind of a thing. So yeah, because he played that role, which is why it is one of a pun, and also there is a justification for the title as well in this particular film. So which is why I feel it is referencing done right.
Sure. Yeah. I would say yeah.
Yeah. So that is the whole context behind Vettaiyan. Because when the movie was announced, you had no idea what it was going to be. They
When the
had the
movie was announced, I had no idea the movie was announced
no, no,
because
that
there
is
is
that, yeah, yeah, because see, this
the
movie
campaign,
had,
the PR campaign has been
yeah,
really bad.
this movie has no like bad PR, and when it was announced last year, people were not too excited because they just released one short scene, one scene. I mean, not even one scene. It was just one shot of Rajnikant. Basically, he's pointing his gun at someone, and he's uttering that one dialogue. I don't know how it was in the Hindi version. He says it before he throws the shades.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that they just released that one shot, and that was the announcement of this movie.
Is it in Hindi? Is it क्यों हिला डाला ना? Is it that one?
हिंदी में तो क्यों हिला डाला ना, समथिंग सिमिलर टू दैट, आई डोंट नो हिंदी में।
Because that is a meme. That is a
ओ
meme now.
yeah, yeah, Hindi में तो it became a meme, but
Yeah.
in the Tamil version, that dialogue is very very iconic from Shivaji the Boss. But what was the dialogue in Hindi? I'm curious. When
That
he's
is the dialogue. क्यों हिला डाला ना?
Oh, they say that. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, they made it self-referential. In the Tamil version, it is different. In the Tamil version, because in Shivaji the Boss, the original dialogue of "Kyun hila dalana" is like it is the literal meaning. "Kyun hila dalana." He basically says that in Tamil. So that is why in Shivaji the Boss, the translation works. But here it doesn't make any sense, because
Why?
here he actually says that if you lock onto a target, the target must fall. That's what he says every time before executing
Oh,
someone.
so this is a different one. So
This
what
is
is
a
the
different
difference?
one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hindi in Hindi it was अगर निशाना लगा तो टारगेट पक्का something like that he
Ha, so
says.
that is what you're saying. So Q hila dalana, where do they use Q hila dalana?
Okay, so apparently Shivaji the Boss में he says this dialogue क्यों हिला डाला
हाँ,
ना?
वो तो पता है
Yeah.
मुझे.
So
That I know.
in the Hindi version of this film Vettaiyan, there are two scenes where he actually says क्यों हिला डाला ना to reference
Oh,
that meme of
okay.
his.
I understand because that Kyun Hila Dalana is quite famous in the Hindi belt. Like
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So
I guess to make it as a meme reference, they reinforce that. I didn't know. I was not aware of it because in the Tamil version there is no there is no room for that callback. They did not. I mean, they. I was very surprised. They kind of restrained Rajnikant a little in this movie. I was not expecting that, but of course they went. We will talk about it. We will talk about it. I have a separate
yes.
section. We have a
So
separate section
let's
of it.
start with overall thoughts.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, you start.
Okay. So I personally feel that this is a competently made film which manages to take a very ordinary story and present it in a seemingly fresh manner. I mean, it never quite reaches the level of freshness to categorize the material as unique, but it's not too predictable that you are bored while watching the movie. That's what I felt. And will I rewatch this movie? Yes. But I will skip over a lot of scenes. I'm kind of talking about the celebratory star elevation moments which are, designed to generate a response from the audience who come to watch their superstar Rajnikant. Unfortunately, a lot of these tailor made scenes are, I feel, a hindrance to the story which the director wanted to tell in a lot of instances. And like I feel it's a balancing act. There was a balancing act going on between catering to the large fan base of the legendary actor, because Rajnikant, let's be fair, he
Hmm.
is a legendary actor and he's been active for 5 decades now. And catering to the themes of the movie, this tug of war could have easily ruined the overall experience between catering to the fan base and kind of justifying the story. But I would say that the director managed to salvage it barely. I mean, it like he
Hmm.
barely managed to salvage it. It could have easily gone wrong, and the scales were tilted more towards the star elevation rather than the movie overall. But still, the overall package works for me. But it is like it keeps you engrossed, it is entertaining, and also has enough material to satisfy the hardcore fan base. But if people are expecting something like Jailer, then they may be disappointed. I know you haven't seen Jailer, but last year
Yeah.
it became a sensation. But personally, for me, I like this more than Jailer. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, fair. I would agree when it comes to the competently made part. I think the director is very good at some things
Yeah.
that he does, and I think he has a very clear ideology that he wants to share here, right? So, building off of his success with J Beam, I think he brings a lot of those themes onto this film, right? He explores some themes that were unexplored in J-Beam, where I've seen J-Beam like 3 to 4 times now, and I've
Hmm.
seen a few things that were like, okay, clearly there is an attempt to bring up a debate, but it wasn't explored in J-Beam, so they tried to explore it over here. Um, but this film is very this film is a mess in what it is trying to say. And it is apparent from the very first scene where they open with the faults with the education system, where I sat back and I was like, okay, fine, this is what it is about. And then they cut to another lecture about encounters and the ethics behind those. I'm like, okay, another thing. Then I was so simply put, we will get into it when it comes to structure, but just to reiterate my point here, when you have two separate conflicts in the film you are trying to comment on, um, they have to be related somehow, and you cannot relate them through a plot device that is a murder case. Okay, you have to relate them at some ideologically, you have to relate them somehow. If you are relating them through a murder case, it falls apart, because you what you are doing essentially in this film is focusing on the first conflict in the first act and second conflict in the second act. And I will bring a lot of references from another really good film which has done this conflict right, and that is Vikram Veda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you've seen Vikram Vedha. That's good because I had a lot of. I was thinking, man, there are a lot of parallels between Vikram Vedha and this movie, and that movie has achieved these same conflicts in a very, I mean, better way than this movie, I would say.
Because it
So
focuses on one conflict.
Yeah,
Okay, not two
we will
different
talk.
conflicts.
We will talk about what you are saying, and I will kind of disagree with you on that aspect. But yeah, we will talk
Hmm.
about it. I have some thoughts about the structure and what you say. I have clear thoughts about that. We will talk about it. We will talk about it.
Yeah, let's dive into the structure then. Overall thoughts I've given.
Okay, before that, let's first talk about the characters. I want to talk about the characters first.
Sure, sure, sure.
And
Yeah, yeah.
for me, the best character of the entire film was Patrick Battery.
Battery, yes, yes.
Best character. He stole the show. Fahad Fasil, the actor's name is Fahad Fasil. I don't know
Part
whether
parcel.
you've seen him in other film, but he's actually very famous now. I mean, he steals the show completely for me. He's the best movie. He managed to insert a lot of genuinely funny moments in the movie. Genuinely funny. I
Hmm.
was laughing out loud throughout. I don't know about the Hindi version because I don't know. Like, but for me in the Tamil version, there were genuine dialogues and all which were I laughed out loud. It was funny, man. The rapport which his character shares with Rajinikanth, very enjoyable, and the chemistry between the actors also worked for me. In a movie, which is jam packed with so many moving plot pieces and a number of characters, whatever we got with Battery left a lasting impression. Which is why when the character ultimately meets his end, it actually hits you. Even though the moment is
Okay, I
predictable.
disagree with that. I
Nee,
disagree.
nee, no, I'll tell you why
Not
it
about
hit
hitting.
me.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I'll tell you why it hit me, even though the moment was predictable, because I knew immediately. I knew that either one of those two characters has to take the shot. I knew it. I was expecting that, and based on how Rajnikant's character was also standing right beside him and behind him, and then celebrating, I knew something like this was going to happen. But it definitely, when that moment hit, when that bullet hits him, you feel I felt it. I felt that impact because that character left that impact on me. That is what I'm saying. Maybe it did not leave an impact on you, maybe because of the language, I guess.
That was partly the reason, but then plot wise also for me it didn't work.
Plot wise, I guess, plot wise, I understand it was a very predictable moment, but for me the character
Not even predictable. I
performance.
thought it was a pointless death.
Okay, I guess, fair enough, you can say that, but for me it definitely hit, and I feel the language difference may be a reason. Maybe a reason. Maybe a reason. Now, okay, now since you said it was a pointless, that character was a pointless death for you. Now I'll talk about the main two characters, as in the main victims, Saranya and the teacher, and the fall guy, Guna. Those
Gana.
two, yeah,
Yeah.
Gana or Guna, whoever it was, I don't remember. So for me, in contrast, she is like, I mean, she's the driving force of the movie, around which the events are surrounded by. That
Hmm.
character never managed to stand on her own, for me, like Battery. And we as an audience are moved by her tragic fate because of the real world examples. I feel as a character, she's a proxy for all the heinous crimes which we as a society have witnessed. And although this movie was already in production since last year, the violence depicted towards the teacher, it hits you hard because I don't know, it chillingly mirrors the recent case which happened in Kolkata.
Okay.
And of course, it's evident the makers were not trying to copy that because it's impossible to do so in such a short amount of time. That happened a couple of months ago, and this movie has been in production since last year. But it's
Hmm.
scary to see the similarities between that case and what happens in the movie because that happens in a college, that happens in a place of work, and this happens in a place of work. This with this teacher. So it's very. I
Let's
mean,
talk about the character.
yeah, we are going to talk about the character. I just wanted to mention it because I felt when I
Hmm.
was watching that, I felt that okay, unintentionally, the event which has been portrayed, it is going to evoke a lot of emotion from the people, unintentionally.
Hmm.
So I feel that it's something which, I mean, see, if this movie had released next year, I would have categorized it as blatant. I mean, what do you say? Exploitation of that tragedy. But
Yeah.
this I feel was organic, and I feel that fine. Whatever they portrayed, it was one of those tragic coincidences. That's what I feel. Keeping all of that aside, as a character, she doesn't have much to do
Hmm.
because
Okay.
there is no individuality to her. I feel, I mean, she could have been played by anyone, and her character was written in such a way that she was a trope basically. For me, she was a trope.
Yes.
I could not feel anything unique about her as compared to when I'm comparing it to Fahad Fasil's character, Battery. Because he was also kind of a trope, but there was some unique elements to him which managed to stand out, which we did not feel with this character. Same way, I want to talk about Guna, the fall guy. He is also in the same category of driving the plot. So nothing unique about him as an individual character. But what I appreciate about both of these plot based characters is that they affect the protagonist in the same way. In the same way. Uh, so now let's talk about Rajinikanth's character, Athiyan.
Athiyan, yeah.
Lot to cover because a lot of inconsistencies when it comes to his character, and I feel
Yes.
that it's because of the star value, and it's because of the f- the fault the falterations of the star system, which we also experienced during GOAT as well. A lot of those, but it was not as terrible as it was in GOAT. I mean, when it came to Gandhi's characterization, he came out as a blatant incompetent guy. You don't have that sense in this movie. Yes, he makes mistakes, and sometimes he comes across as dumb, but overall he is competent. He's shown to be competent, and we are with him as a character, I feel, compared
His
to Gandhi.
team is rather more incompetent than he
Yeah,
is.
his team. No, but I'll tell you. I'll talk about where I felt he, as a cop, was incompetent for me. I'll talk about it. But yeah, of course, his team was rather more incompetent, and that actually works well because ultimately, yes, that's how you characterize this guy. That's how you differentiate this cop. That he is so efficient, and his team commits so many blunders. So that is doing the characterization correctly as compared to GOAT, where they pretty much show him to be so incompetent that everything bad which happens, he is directly responsible for it in every instance. So that is why I feel that in this movie they do the characterization right to a large extent. Yeah, Athiyan, he believes in what he does. The encounters which he carries out are justified by him, and we see examples in the movie itself where the crime meets the punishment. Now, the bond which he shares with the teacher Saranya makes it personal for him, and we are able to feel the guilt which he possesses over not being there to protect her. So it was obvious he was going to do the encounter, no matter whatever the outcome was. So he was fired up, and we see that he has a personal motive behind the behind doing the encounter as well. Usually, what happens is he has a sense of grandeur, and he considers himself to be the protector rather than upholding the law. He takes the law upon himself, and then he considers himself to be the protector. So when it comes to an ordinary citizen, he's so driven to take out the criminals. When it comes to someone he's associated with personally, of course he was going to do that, and we see that happening as well. Now, the movie which makes like one thing which the movie makes clear is that Athiyan conducts a thorough investigation before making his decision. That's what they kind of portray in the movie, that he is absolutely sure he will investigate something thoroughly and make it absolutely certain that this person he has in his crosshairs is 100% a criminal, an irredeemable criminal. So he has to be taken out. That is the modus operandi which Athiyan follows, and he justifies killing because he doesn't have faith in the judicial system. And he believes that the police force is much more efficient than the judiciary, which is why he kind of he's, if you think about it, he's corrupt because he fakes a lot of encounters, and he manipulates the situation in such a way that the encounters are carried out. But there are a lot of inconsistencies where it comes is that he believes, like it is portrayed that he doesn't trust the judicial system, but he believes that the police force are efficient and they always catch the target. But he is surprised when he kind of learns in the first, you remember in the first encounter where he learns that there is a corrupt police officer who has assisted the criminal, and
Yeah.
he immediately, without investigating, he immediately brands him as a criminal,
Yes.
and then he was
Yes.
like, I was like, dude,
Huge inconsistency. Huge
yeah,
inconsistency.
that was the inconsistencies. That was the whole point of the movie. That he conducts an investigation so thoroughly that he knows that if that person is a criminal, he has personally made sure that person is a criminal.
Yeah.
Here, this particular criminal spins a yarn that this police officer has taken a bribe and then he's letting me go and all that, and he immediately believes him. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
how, what, how did you come to this conclusion? I mean, that is like you. Okay, I was like, fair enough. If you believe that to be true, then I guess you have to be a corrupt police officer and you have to be portrayed as a corrupt police officer. But he's portrayed as a very justifiable and very noble police officer. So that's where
Yes.
I feel the inconsistency in the character comes from. Because later he's actually, when he investigates, after he takes out Guna, he finds out there are a lot of inconsistencies in the case, and the police team which has investigated has committed a lot of blunders, and he has an outburst as well, that is this how you conduct an investigation? He literally throws that file on his junior's face and is like, this is not how you conduct an
Yeah.
investigation.
Yeah.
So that is the inconsistency in later, where he is talking about you have to make sure everything happens, but blatantly he commits one blunder himself earlier as well, that he's taking out a police officer solely on the basis of the word of this criminal which he's taking. I'm like, dude, come on, man, that is such a noob move.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree with that.
And okay,
Let's just,
let's,
just talk about Athiyan.
yeah.
Athiyan, that's his name, right? Athiyan?
Athiyan. So basically,
Okay.
okay, there's another like another link to Vettaiyan. His name is V Athiyan.
Hmm.
So V Athiyan, if you combine them
Okay.
together, Vettaiyan.
Okay. Got it.
So
Yeah.
that's another reason where where the
Just try to
department has
justify the.
given the nickname to him. So I feel okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So
Sorry.
I don't know if this is controversial, but my opinion is that it would have been more impactful if his character somehow were to be at the crime scene and not seen the entire thing on television.
Yeah.
Okay, that would have had more impact when it, especially when it came to the guilt that he did not pick up the call when she called him, when Srinidhi, right, what's her name?
Yes, Saranya.
Not Srinidhi. Saranya called him.
Srinidhi is from Goat.
Okay, yeah,
The
so
the girl
mixing
who
up.
the girl who Jeevan kills.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
That's Srinidhi.
Okay, so that thing, and because I felt that it was a particular mistake because I did not feel that there was any bond between Saranya and
Athiyan.
Athiyan, because they only showed one scene between them. Okay, and that scene was not enough to sell the whole relationship, right? When I like the so um you start with.
And
Yeah.
one more big incompetency. He literally comes out in the media and reveals the name of Saranya after the case is closed. So I'm like, dude, you
Hmm.
are a police officer. You're not supposed to reveal the name of important witnesses. You're not supposed
Yeah,
to do that. And he blatantly comes out and reveals her name, that because of her bravery, we were able to capture
we'll get to
her.
the inconsistencies of this
Yeah,
character.
and
Okay.
actually, let's put a pin on this particular thing which I'm criticizing, because this is, I feel, a deliberate move by the writer to set up a plot red herring. I'll talk about this.
Sure. So with Athiyan, the a few things that would have helped with the character is that first you show that okay, there is a reason why he is like this. Okay, why does he believe that the judiciary is bad? Why does he uh, why does he not care about the ethics behind just outrightly killing people? Okay, there was no reason given. Hence, I did not believe that he staunchly believed in his stance, which again got reaffirmed when it comes to when he realized that he has made a mistake and killed the wrong person, encountered the wrong person. He immediately changes.
Yeah.
immediately. There was a
Yeah.
very bad transition as to a person will not change an ideology so fast,
Yeah.
right? That only happens because they want to get to the other conflict later on.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is therein lies the problem with, just because you have a character and you want to have a quick transition, and you don't want a proper arc throughout the film and just till the interval. uh, there is a lot of problem with, like, how do you connect the first half and the second half, because there is, outside of the case, there is no connection between what you're trying to say.
In contrast, the motivation you talked about of him basically changing his approach, how beautifully it was portrayed in Vikram Veda.
Yes, yes. That is why the comparisons come. Plus, Vikram gave a reason for why he was like that.
Yeah.
Okay, you see why Vikram is like that. But again, a problem which is, Athiyan is a representation of what the writer believes, what the director
Yeah.
believes.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is that I don't know why, but just because this is a mass film, was Vikram Veda like one of like a mass appealing film?
Yeah.
Okay, so why couldn't they do that? Like, Vikram Veda is not over the surface problem. Okay, the problem with encounters is there is a deeper problem of good and evil.
Yeah.
Okay, but they only try to solve the encounter wala problem.
Yeah.
In Vikram Veda, they try to solve the one layer deeper. That,
Yeah.
oh, this is the problem between the ideology of the character
Yeah.
and not his belief in like the judiciary or something like that, right?
See, I'll tell you to answer your question why they did not do what they did in Vikram Veda, primarily because it's Rajinikanth and there is a big market associated with him. And the
Yeah.
fact that when you have to make, like, of course, see, when it comes to Rajinikanth, you need to have certain moments with him where the audience has to cheer for him. So
Yes.
while building those particular kind of moments, at least they you need to have 3 to 4 moments like this in the movie. At least 3 to 4 moments. So when you try to weave all those kinds of moments in a movie, which has to have these kinds of impact, obviously you cannot do what happened, what they did in Vikram Veda, unless the character which Rajnikant is playing is like Veda.
Hmm.
They can't, because Rajnikant as an actor, he can do that. He could have played a character like Veda, but they won't have that. They won't do that. They will have to make him in.
Yeah, the
They
cookie
have to
cutter
take
hota
this.
hai.
Yeah, the cookie cutter one. They have to take the safer route. So that is why they had to do that, and that is why the problem which we felt that, the themes which they addressed in Vikram Veda, they were not able to do it in this particular movie.
The one way to sort of fix this problem would have been, Sharanya could have been opposed to his ideology. Okay,
Yeah.
instead of, yeah, his wife was clearly opposed to that ideology, because there is a scene where she's not satisfied when he solves the case. Okay, there is a fleeting shot of her dissatisfied. Okay, but again, yeah.
That can be interpreted differently, because I don't think she's dissatisfied by him, because if that was the case, then we would not have had the climax, where she's shooting the criminal.
Yeah, that's the inconsistency of the characters.
No, but that is what I'm saying. The moment which you're talking about where she's dissatisfied, that has to be interpreted differently. Because if you interpret it in the way you are interpreting, then that means there is another huge inconsistency.
The only foil character here, and just to reiterate, okay, just to explain, a foil character is somebody who is an antithesis of the protagonist, who
Yeah.
will sort of help the protagonist realize. Okay, so the foil character here is Amitabh Bachchan,
Amitabh Bachchan.
right? Amitabh Bachchan is he has the correct ideology throughout.
Yeah.
Is a Yeah, so he's the only one who can change Amitabh Bachchan, Rajnikant's mind, but there are very few interactions between them, and that doesn't come out as like, oh, you are using Amitabh Bachchan as a plot device and not for character moments. You're only using Amitabh Bachchan as plot device, as a foil character, to justify then that, oh, Rajni is now repenting,
Yeah.
right? So that is a big problem with the way characters are portrayed in this film for me.
And also, one big problem for me when it came to Amitabh Bachchan was they did not do what they did in Kalki. In Kalki, they had him dub the dialogues in Tamil himself. Sorry, in Telugu. I'm so
Telugu.
in Telugu, but they did not do it in this movie.
Okay.
So throughout the movie, they had a dubbing artist like voice over his lines. So the problem was it did not work for me. It did not work for me at all.
In Hindi, it was him.
In Hindi, it was him. So that is why his character would have stood out separately.
Yeah.
That is one another reason why I want to now watch this movie in Hindi, because I want to see Amitabh Bachchan's performance, only his sequences, because I want to see how he has done that role, and I want to see his interactions with Rajnikant, because I mean I don't know. See, Rajnikant himself knows Hindi. They could have at least tried to have one particular interaction in the same language. I feel they could have had,
It's such a big opportunity. Have you seen The Heat by Michael Mann?
yeah,
So you have a scene in there, in only one scene where they actually talk,
yeah,
Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
yeah,
Okay, and they've not wasted that opportunity. Here, that opportunity is completely wasted.
completely wasted. That's what I'm saying, because Rajnikant and Amitabh Bachchan collaborating together, it's a very big deal, because they
Yeah,
are reuniting after 33 years.
and now
And
they're on a completely different stature now
yeah,
after 33 years.
yeah,
Yes.
after 33 years. So, I mean, Rajnikant was actually Amitabh Bachchan's junior, and Amitabh Bachchan was, think about it, it was like all of the iconic movies which Amitabh Bachchan has done have been remade in Tamil by Rajnikant. All of the movies. Dawn was remade. I think Diwar was remade, and then you had basically the movie where Rajnikant and
Yeah,
Amitabh
they took him
Bachchan,
then.
that was also remade in Tamil by Rajnikant. So the character which Amitabh Bachchan was playing, that was played by Rajnikant in the Tamil version. So he has done a lot of movies. I mean, Amitabh Bachchan was technically the biggest superstar of that time, and then Rajnikant
Yeah.
literally grew, emulating him. And of course, they were now their stage statues are completely different. So it was a very big deal. But I also feel that in lot of the scenes where they are interacting, the actors are doing a very good job, and you feel that yes, of course, I mean it was, I did not feel cheated. I did not feel as though there was no point of having Amitabh Bachchan in this movie other than maybe nostalgia bait or something. I feel there was a point to his character, and there was actually a good point to his character as well. Amitabh Bachchan managed to stand out in the movie. I want to talk about his character in another segment which I have, and I'll go deeper into what I want to basically highlight. The differences between Amitabh Bachchan as an actor and Rajnikant as an actor. I want to highlight that. I have a separate section which we'll talk about later. So I think, yeah, in terms of characters, nobody else
I
is
also
there.
want to talk about Fahad Fazil's character, Battery.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so in Hindi, he was not funny.
Okay.
So your fears are actually true here. In Hindi, he was not funny at all. Now,
Okay.
there are a few problems that I have with making your protagonist's sidekick quirky.
Yeah.
Okay, where it could have been taken. Yeah, I could have taken him a bit more seriously if he hadn't been, or maybe the dialogues made him seem so. But he was trying to inject humor into every situation,
Yeah.
even, and a lot of that did not work because the humor is very, it's repetitive. The humor is he's with someone who is serious, he's quirky, he makes a random comment, he looks at the serious person expecting that person to laugh, and they look back at him with a stern expression, and then he shuts up. That is repetitive humor where, and anytime you have a quirky character.
Okay, I'll explain to you exactly why I feel that the character worked for me. The main reason why the jokes did not land, because the translation might have been poor. I have to
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
the
yeah, I
Hindi
agree.
version. Then
Could
only
have been said.
I'll understand. Another thing is the dynamic between Athiyan and Battery. It's the same as Jay and Ali from the Dhoom series.
Yes, yes, the classic quirky thing. Yeah.
Classic quirky thing. And if you think about it, that one role, Ali, that is Uday Chopra's only iconic role.
Yeah.
And he was actually that, I mean, he managed to, if you think about it, he managed to connect with the audience as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
The
can
original incel.
no, incel fine. You can leave the incel apart from that because this character is also playing the same kind of same kind of a role. Incel. He's also an incel.
Hmm.
He keeps flirting with all the women.
There's just one scene though where I saw the humanity in him outside of the scene where he wants to hug Rajnikant.
Yeah.
The other scene is where they categorize Guna as somebody who is no who's like not, he doesn't know how to behave with women, and Fahad Fazil's character
Yeah, yeah,
badly
yeah, yeah, yeah.
relates.
In that basically, there is a girl from the college
Yes,
who
yes, yes.
falsely accuses this Guna character of being misbehaving
And
with
he
her,
defends Guna. It was
and he
like,
defends and he's
yeah.
trolling
So
her. He's
that
trolling
is
her.
where, yeah, those moments are few, but then they humanize Battery more than anything else.
So the moment which you're talking about, that this moment in Tamil, it was funny because the dialogues which he's
Okay.
saying, it was actually funny. We were laughing. That's what I'm saying now. This
No, but
character,
it's a really good deep moment. It's a
yeah,
really good.
it is a deep moment, but it is like the intention of the director is that the character has to say something deep, but it has to be very subtle. The humor has to be in the forefront. That is how it comes across in the Tamil version. The deep moment you
Hmm.
are feeling is, yes, of course, that moment has to be deep. But in the Tamil version, they focus on the humor and the humor lands, and he subtly slides the thing because that is his
Yeah,
character.
yeah, yeah.
He does not have a filter, and despite the fact that he is working with police officers, he says a lot of those things which go completely unnoticed. I mean, there is
Hmm.
another example from the movie itself where he goes to the bus stop where he has to collect the hard disk from the office and where he impersonates a police officer. Right? He's like, "I'm the assistant commissioner. This is my assistant. Show
Yes.
her, show the ID." So he plays that off. So basically, he's impersonating a police officer and he has to get punished. But because he's so charming, they are letting that moment slide. So that is the characterization of Fahad Fasil, and I'll tell you, it is lost in translation, completely lost in translation. That is why it did
I
not
understand.
it
Yeah.
did not hit you. That character did not hit you because for me, that is what I'm saying. Right? He was the best character for me in the movie. Best character.
I think he's the character with the most human moments
Yeah,
compared to Athiyan or any other character, I would say.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's. I want to talk about two characters here, both female. Both female characters, which is Athiyan's wife and
The police
what's her
officer,
name?
the
No,
Rupa.
no, 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 the victim,
Oh, victim is Saranya.
Saranya. Okay, now I don't know why, but it has gotten into the heads of writers that a strong female character is literally a strong female character.
Yeah,
Okay, it's a strong female character is just a human character. That's a
yeah,
strong female character. The
yeah.
problem is that when we portray characters, female characters, we are portraying them as either plot devices, using them for trauma. They are not human beings in the film. That's why we are saying, oh, strong female character. But somehow they have taken a literal meaning and portrayed them as, oh, this woman is Lady Singham, and she can use guns and she can beat goons up. I'm like, no, that is not a strong female character.
That is the
Yeah.
extreme example we see in Hollywood doing with Captain Marvel and all these movies
Yes,
where
yes.
it does not land at all.
Yeah.
So
And
this
the good examples are from Game of Thrones. So many great, strong female
the
characters,
the
but
earlier
they're not
seasons,
beating anyone up.
please, the
The
earlier
earlier seasons.
seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they do the same mistake in the final season.
I know. But like Cersei is like such a strong female character. At
Yeah.
no point in the entire show does she beat people up or use guns or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
right?
I mean, the classic example is that from the Lord of the Rings you have Galadriel,
Hmm.
not the ones from the Rings of Power. They have
No, no, no.
completely ruined
I have
her.
not seen Rings of Power.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it. You'll hate yourself.
It's fine.
So it's
I
like
already do.
that's fine, but you'll hate yourself even more that how could they ruin Lord of the Rings? So they've completely ruined Lord of the Rings. So yeah, so like when it comes to yeah, so please continue. You were talking about the female characters, so strong female character.
They have done the same with the wife of Athiyan. Okay, they have taken that scene and the reveal of like, oh, she's shooting people. Okay, Again, character inconsistency, plus you are taking that meaning very literally. The other, yeah, the victim, again, um, I feel like her story was very interesting as to she's an activist who is focusing on, like, okay, she's a strong character who is being proactive, who sees injustice and then decides to fight against it, even after being offered money by Rana Daggubati's character, which we will get to like later on. Yeah, it's fine. That is a strong female character. Okay, she portrays that, and when she becomes the victim, it does feel like a gut punch because we sort of relate more with her because she's proactive and she's that person, right? Only her characters I felt where um, they had done something right with female characters here.
For me, the female character that worked was Rupa, the team, the police officer.
Hmm, hmm,
I feel her character was literally a strong female character because she is a fighter,
yeah.
and she's actually a fighter in real life as well. She is actually a boxer.
Okay. Okay.
So she kind of got into films through that skill. She made a film many years ago. The film was in Hindi as well. If you've seen Sala Khadus, Madhavan.
Yes. I've not seen it, but yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So this girl is that girl. So she is like a real life boxer, and she got into acting. And I feel that she's tailor made for this. She's kind of a typecast character. She's not a conventional glamour actress, and she cannot fit the bill. She can only do these kinds of role. So she is tailor made for this kind of a role which they gave to her. But of course, there was no room for her. There was no room for her to grow, or as a character there's not much which happens with her except for the bond which she shares with Battery, which was kind of
Hmm.
how, I mean, yeah, it gave her an opportunity to show a different side of her, a vulnerable side of her which we were not seeing throughout. So that bond between Battery and Rupa, that felt okay, fair enough. It worked for me a bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, none of the female characters have any much to do in the film,
Yeah.
but arguably, you have Saranya. Saranya is the main driving plot. So they
Sharana is used
had,
as trauma as well, like
yeah,
for
trauma
the
as,
protagonist to be understood.
so basically she's trauma. She's the proxy for all the real life tragedies which,
Motivation behind,
yeah,
but yeah, and
and
motivation
she,
for Athiyan.
and the plot, basically she's
Yeah.
the one who's uncovering, she's the reason why this particular story happens. Otherwise the first 20 minutes of the movie is pointless. I was bored. I was so disappointed. I was like, oh god, what have I landed myself into? Because the introduction of the hero and then the glorification of how the classic testimonial characterization reveal
Yes.
happens.
I
And
wanted to get. We'll get into that with structure.
yeah, let's get into that with the structure. And I mean, I guess we can start the structure because
No.
pretty much.
Please, let's talk. Let's dedicate 2 minutes to Rana Daggubati, please. I am so frustrated with these characters. Why do you have to cast him?
Okay,
What is
I'll
the
tell you. I'll tell
what
you.
is the
Rana's treatment is exactly the same as the villain from the movie Control.
Yeah. Same. Exactly.
Exactly the same. I felt ये तो वही है, same.
It's a
But at
comment
least
on
he's
capitalism.
comment on capitalism, comment on bad capitalism, and the thing is, yes, he completely randomly appears out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and then his characterization, he's literally playing Ballal Dev.
The expressions are the same, I would say.
Expressions are the same, mannerisms are the same.
Is the yeah, looking like this and like this
Yeah,
in the
he's
naturally
doing the
yeah.
same. He's doing the same. He's playing Ballal Dev. I was like, yeah, ठीक है. इसी के लिए cast किया ऐसे. There was literally no reason because for one, I mean, do you believe Rajinikanth can take on Rana Daggubati? Come
Never.
on, man. Come on,
A
man.
70-year-old Rajnikant clearly can't.
Not even a 70-year-old
Not even
Rajinikanth. Rajinikanth in his prime even can't take Rana
can't
Daggubati.
take on Rana Daggubati. Yeah.
The scene where they show later on when he comes to arrest Rana Daggubati with the entire police force, you literally see Rajinikanth standing next to Rana Daggaputi. I'm like, dude, he's so menacing, and Rajinikanth. I am not intimidated by Rajinikanth at all in that particular moment. So the makers clear consciously make sure that Rajinikanth and Rana Daggaputi are never seen, like in that kind of a sense, because
Yeah,
Rana
the
Daggaputi,
shots are like the angle is different when
the
they
angle
when
is
there's
always
one fight.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, so that like he also looks slightly as tall as like
Yeah, but I mean, Bahubali and Ballal Dev, we can believe because both of them are menacing. Both of them are equally strong characters.
yeah.
Physically, they match each other. But Rajnikant and I mean, yeah, it doesn't work for me at all. It worked for me till a particular moment because I was like, Rajnikant was not physically engaging with Rana Daggubati until the last moment, but in that last sequence where they deliberately have a fight sequence, that did not work for me at all. At all.
It
Okay.
sort of reminded me of another film. Um, Dhanush is in that film called it's called Sir in English. I don't know what it is called.
It's called, yeah, it's translated to teacher
Sir.
basically. Yeah, I know the
Okay.
movie. I know the movie, but it does not work at all. That movie, I haven't watched it.
I have seen it. I've seen it multiple times because
I
I
haven't.
I used to be a teacher, and so I know
Okay.
the system properly. So I showed it to some of my students.
Okay.
The issue is that in that film, in the opening narration, they set up the whole conflict and they focus on it, the education system, the problem with the education system. Okay, and the problem with government schools and colleges, right? They focus on that. Here they open with that, but then they quickly shift to, oh, this encounter and ethics behind encounter, and then they come back to, oh, we also are talking about the online coaching and this and okay, I will say high juice just to avoid being
It
cancelled
was,
or something.
yeah, it was blatantly high juice.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that like I gave an interview for high juice. Okay, and I made a call to like an employee, and then the employee, a friend of mine, called me back and said, "Please do not join, because these practices are going on.
Yeah.
They specifically go to poor people
Yeah.
who have big dreams for their kids,
Yeah.
and then they exploit that your future will be over if you don't sign with us or something like that."
Let's talk about,
That
okay,
scene is perfectly how it plays out in real life.
let's talk about this entire thing because I have a section about social commentary which I have to
Hmm.
provide you a lot of context as well of Tamil Nadu and all the things which they've been depicted because yes, the education scams which you're talking about, they happen, but there is another aspect to it as well which you're not aware of, which I'll talk about, which okay, I'll talk about that. Let's quickly go over the structure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, again, this is a PSA. Stop having pointless action scenes in the beginning just to characterize your main character, your
Yeah.
protagonist, because it takes up, it's a 3 hour film almost.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that first scene entirely, just to have testimonial characterization for both of them, for Battery and I keep forgetting his name.
Athiyan.
Athiyan, yeah, for Battery and Athiyan. It's just testimonial characterization for Athiyan, and then characterizing Battery that I like that he keeps that I'm a chore as a
Yeah.
badge of honor. Like, मैं
Yeah.
चोर हूँ. Like, oh, okay. And he's proud of it. That also makes his character very more interesting.
Yeah.
Another person would be, नहीं नहीं मैं पुलिस है, मैं पुलिस हूँ. No, he's like मैं चोर हूँ, and he keeps insulting the police
Yeah.
by saying, हाँ. So again, they have done some great things. That's why this character stands out so much.
Yeah.
So that first 6 to 7 minutes, completely pointless. That entire
20
scene.
minutes. 20 minutes
20 minutes.
till the song. Till the song.
Yes, 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 yes.
20 minutes of the movie I was sitting like this. I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? Why is this? This is going to be bad. But
When they
then
show the drones fly, I clocked out there only. I was like, okay, right, this is the kind of film they're going to tell,
yeah.
the story they're going to tell me. But then
Yeah.
they come back afterwards, after the
Yeah.
song.
Oh, they massively redeemed themselves in the first half. Massively. Massively.
Yes, they had to. You can't start with the drone fly. It's
No,
science
but
fiction at this point.
yeah, no, but it was plausible for me. It's like, yeah, those kinds of drones exist because there is actually a real life example as well.
Okay.
There is, because there are drones like that,
Like
which
such great footage from such a small camera.
I mean, of course, there's great footage element I can understand, but still there are drones like that. Those spy
Yeah,
drones
yeah.
are used, and
Spy drones exist.
it was a very effective tool as well to figure out that. I mean, it was kind of like the police force also has to update themselves when it comes to technology, and it also sheds a light on how Athiyan recognizes talent and works with those people who
Yes.
he feels is, like are the right people, because
Hmm.
they both of them, they managed to crack the case, which the entire department was not able
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
yeah.
so another structural issue that I pointed out in the beginning, but I want to expand a little bit. Okay, if you are trying to tell these movie was trying to tell two different stories, okay, and then they sort of try to pack it together, linking the case in both, right? So because these two characters being the catalysts here,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it that is the problem where you barely touch the surface for both of those problems.
Yeah.
You did not get into the problem with online academy.
Yeah.
You did not get in the problem with encounters, the ethics behind it. Okay, you just brushed over it and you made the point and you left. Okay, what would have been, so when the movie started, and when this is a very easy fix for it. You start the film by showing that government schools are not very well funded, the teachers are not well educated, well trained, and hence the children are like the behavior of the children is bad, they are
Yeah.
spoiled and everything. Okay, and then you talk about the ethics behind the encounters. Okay, and my mind was linking it somehow that you are going to show that all this problem stems, all this problems of like uh, all these ethical problems are fine, but then when they started showing that, oh, there's a murder, rape, and you have Guna who is taken into custody, like, okay, now you're going to get into education, how Guna was educated, okay, and
Yeah.
how he got his education through a government school, and now you get there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
did not happen.
That did
Would
not
have been a
happen.
much easier fix.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but they went into a completely different category of, oh, he was exploited by this online academy, and then Nat Academy is horribly named, and then yeah, yeah, that it could have been an easy fix that you can comment on both of those things, but you did not. You went into a completely different zone, and completely ruined my experience of it.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I have to watch the Hindi version now, because for me the connectivity is there. Like
Hmm.
between the two conflicts which you're talking about, there is a direct connectivity. And what happens, I don't know. Maybe because of the translation issues, or maybe something might have been missed out. They delve into Guna's education as well. They do it. They link it.
Not that much.
No, not that
Not.
much, but they kind of when the investigation is happening, when Amitabh Bachchan's character points Athiyan's character in the direction, he starts investigation into Guna, and they kind of highlight the fact that Guna was the only person who did
Yeah.
engineering from this basti, and he was hardworking. So they wanted to portray it that they have been going through a terrible, like a hard life of hardship, and he still managed to study, and he was actually good. He was actually a good person, offering his services for free and making, I mean, he was doing that. So they kind of link the education aspect a little bit, but of course they may not have done to such an extent as you are talking about. That, yeah, if they had done it, it would have been much more organic, and it would have tied both of those themes together in a much better way than they have done it loosely here, I
Yeah.
feel. Also, okay, one thing which I want to touch upon is that, like, the structure, they start the story with the whole education system, the Macaulay education system. First of all, okay, there are a lot of problems with that education system, and
Hmm.
there is, I feel that that system itself was a very problematic system, which was deliberately, it was introduced for different reasons, not for the reasons, it was not introduced for noble reasons as it is portrayed here. Yes, the population and our country managed to get a lot of benefits through that education system, but it is still, it was not a noble education system which was introduced. That education system was deliberately introduced to isolate us from our native respective cultures, and kind of produce those kinds, like, produce slaves. It was introduced to produce slaves for the empire, for the British Empire. That was the reason the Macaulay education system was introduced. But okay, apart from that, not wanting to get into the politics of it, yes, I can get with the fact that the education system is absolutely essential, and it is the only way to uplift the lives of those people who are struggling. So I am very well with you on that aspect. And yes, these people struggle to get education, and these people struggle to get good education. So I mean, if you think about it, if you come from a family like Guna, where the mother is, she's maybe a daily wage worker, something like that, and Guna is also struggling. He doesn't have time to sit with his sister and maybe educate her, or maybe help her out in her studies. And she wants to become a doctor. So the only way for her is to, because you're not getting quality education from the government schools, she has to
Hmm.
have extra help. So
Yeah.
and what happens is, you go to the best, ultimately any education, I mean, anyone, all you take the middle class and you take the lower class, they all want uh, their children to succeed, and they all want the best for their children. So
Yeah.
naturally, they are going to pay a premium amount of education if they realize that yes, their children will succeed. But what has been portrayed in this movie when it comes to the younger sister of Guna, it is very accurate, because you never show the plight of what is going through the students' minds. How are
Yes.
you going to? I mean, I faced that myself in my own life. I come from a privileged family, somewhat privileged family compared to Guna. I mean, I grew up in a nice neighborhood. I grew up in a family where my father was educated and my father was working in a city. We were not very well off, but we still managed to lead a respectable, and we still managed to lead a privileged life, like where I had options to explore, rather than, I have to study and I
We went
have
to a
to.
film school. We
Exactly,
went to a film
exactly,
school.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I came from a relatively privileged household, so I had the option to like explore myself. But while I was growing up, I faced a lot of struggles. I mean, I could not understand what was going on in classrooms, and I was not able to pick up. Even though I know that I know my natural caliber, I know my intelligence, I know if someone teaches me properly, I'll be able to understand the concepts. So I did not manage to get it from the teachers, because the school system was different. I mean, you have 40-50 students in one classroom, and you have like
Yeah.
45-minute classes, and in 45-minute classes you cannot explain a concept to every single person. And if you don't understand the basics, how are you going to study it on your own if you don't understand basics?
Yeah.
And we grew up in an era where internet was not even a thing. Internet
Yeah.
was, I mean, these kinds of materials were not available on the internet. so
Available. Yeah.
so
Hmm.
you had to take up tuitions separately.
Yes.
I mean, yes, we did not go to these professional tuition institutes or coaching centers, but for normal education itself, you had to go to tuitions. When it came to these kinds of special examinations, these entrance examinations, you have different coachings, because I have attended IIT coachings.
Okay.
And I felt this very same struggle which this character has been going through. I paid a premium amount, and then whatever was being taught there, I could not understand. But I was like, dude, you have to teach me. But the approach which they are taking in these coaching institutes, they take the approach that I mean, they have to cover this much syllabus in such a short amount of time, and they will just skim through it. And a
Hmm.
complicated entrance exam like joint entrance exam, IIT, you cannot skim through stuff. And if you are not naturally attuned to these concepts, how are you going to study?
Yeah.
So that is the problem which I myself face, which is why I was very, during my class 11th and class 11th, I was very, I mean, I was on the verge of depression. I was like, dude, I cannot live like this. I was like, in 12th, I decided I'm not going to do this. Fuck this. I'm not doing this. But I know for a fact that a lot of students buckle under the pressure. So portrayal of the students' pressure, that was very accurate, and the portrayal of how, the family, how her mother also treats her, and how
Yes,
the te-
yes, yes. It's a
teacher.
really good scene.
It's a really good
When she's
scene.
watching the TV and the
Yeah.
mother comes like, we are wasting money.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is something which I myself have faced. So
I
if
think
you
a lot,
think.
this is going to be true for a lot of people in the country,
Exactly,
a lot
exactly.
of
So
students
I
in the country.
understand, I very much understand the themes which they were portraying, and that is where the movie was also working for me. That okay, they have tried to highlight something which is which is a harsh reality for a vast majority of people. And I can't even blame the mother as well, because she's seeing that such a huge amount of money, her son is taking the risk and funding
Yeah.
the education for this young girl. And so of course this young girl cannot relax, she has to constantly make sure recoup that investment. I mean, imagine we went to a film school. If film schools also take the same approach as a conventional education institute, and all of these young people, if they start paying a premium for this film education, what will happen? We were able to, because filmmaking itself has its own pressures,
Yeah.
but we were able to handle it because we were naturally inclined for that. I mean, we were built for that. We had a passion for filmmaking. That is why I was able to enjoy the pressure, when it came to filmmaking, and the difficult course which you go, I mean, as a like the course which I did was of film direction, and the pressures which you feel as a director of executing a shoot, planning a shoot, organizing the budget, and making sure to
So
complete.
basically, there's a psychological thing where there are two types of stress.
Yeah,
Okay. The first type is the bad stresses where you are under stress and you know you can't deal with it.
exactly.
That is the sort of stress the girl goes through.
Yeah,
Okay. The stress that we went through in film school was the stress that we could deal with, which we enjoy.
and it keeps on improving us. It improves our
Yes.
skill. That is the stress,
What doesn't kill
and
you makes you stronger, type of thing.
exactly. But everyone is not made for that kind of stress. So the same way, the commentary on the education system is very much applicable. That yes, there are a lot of these young kids who need extra help, but paying a premium and joining these coaching institutes is not the solution,
Not going to help. Yeah.
because this has been going on. Coming back to the coaching institute thing, this has been going on before the internet era as well. The Haijus and all of those coaching institutes, they basically exploited this business model, because what happened was, we were going through these coaching institutes. In reality, I mean, the media manipulation of coaching institutes, that oh, if you join our coaching institute, there is a guaranteed result success rate of you joining
No,
IITs. And
even before that, they have done their research on high juice, because at first high juice was catering to people who could pay the premium,
yeah,
but because they were under a lot of pressure and they had taken a
yeah,
lot of funding and done
yeah,
marketing,
yeah,
now you have to cater to people who can actually make you some profit, which is
yeah,
the 70% of the of India.
yeah.
That is poor.
That is poor.
Okay. And how do you pitch to them? You have to blackmail them. You have to exploit them. You have to
You
sort of
have to, you
fear
have
monger.
to, you have to make them an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah.
Something like that. And okay, now talking about basically what happened was, see, we grew up in the system, so, and we were a little educated, so we were able to differentiate the fact that whether paying a service like paying for a service like Byju's is valuable to us or not, because we know that the same kind of information can be accessible elsewhere as well, because in YouTube there are a lot of free teachers
A
as well.
lot. A
A
lot.
lot of things. You can find these concepts easily on YouTube. But I can understand that for someone like Guna, a family like Guna, who may not have the access to these kinds of different technologies and all, they may fall prey to it. But that is another inconsistency, because Guna is portrayed to be a tech savvy guy. So he should know that he has
Just a
different
second. I'm going to turn off the camera for a second.
okay.
Yeah, you can keep talking.
Yeah, so for me that was another inconsistency, because Guna is not a naive guy. He himself is educated. He himself is a computer guy. So he should know that there are other options for education, to getting education. Why did you have to go to this particular institution in order to get education? Because you get these online coaching which are available for free. You get course materials which are available online. You can literally study this online. So that is one inconsistency which I feel, and that is where I feel that, you know, the plot based inconsistency, because you had to have Guna work as a computer guy, and you had to have Guna's computer guys, that computer skills into play for him in order to be at the crime scene, which is what I feel is a plot based inconsistency. Because for someone who's educated like Guna, he could have easily avoided that particular thing. I could have believed if there was no Guna and there was only that mother who did not know about anything and who wanted her daughter to become a doctor, so she paid the high premium. I would have believed it if it was just
Okay,
the mother.
this I can only comment on this because I worked at that sector for 5 years. Okay,
Okay,
so
fair
I
enough.
have a lot of experience. Now there are students who are self-taught. A
Yeah,
lot of students who have the ability to teach themselves.
yeah,
Okay, but then there are students who need constant direction.
okay,
Okay, this now you want to study this, now you have to study this. So for example, when I was studying language, I am not somebody who can be self-taught very easily. Okay,
yeah,
in the beginning I need directions, so that's why I had to enroll at a coaching institute that gave me okay, we will cover phase 1. Okay, and then once phase 1 was covered, I had my fundamentals clear, and now I can teach myself.
okay,
Okay, uh, I think the girl belonged to that other category, in my category, where she could not be taught through the internet, and that's why the coaching institutes and these people are never going out of business, because not most students cannot teach themselves.
yeah,
Okay, because teaching or learning a syllabus is a proper structured thing.
yeah,
Okay, you cannot learn chapter 3 before chapter 1,
yeah.
right? Yeah, so that's why I buy into the whole, oh, fine, even Guna can fall for that.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, okay, fair enough. If you have real life examples, you've seen that. So I guess, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's plausible. It's not too far fetched. It's not too
Yeah.
far fetched. Okay, so pretty much, yeah. I have to now come to one segment which I wanted to talk about, which is like a,
Social commentary.
no, not a social commentary. It is kind of another subset of the structure itself. Star
Yeah.
versus story.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when it comes like so I want to compare Amitabh Bachchan to Rajinikanth when it comes to star power versus character roles. Amitabh Bachchan was once in the same trap as what Rajinikanth is right now. Like Amitabh Bachchan, in till the 90s, he was doing movies where he had to play the hero, he had to play the good guy, and everything had to revolve around him. And you need to have a certain scenes which had to satisfy his hardcore fan base. Which is why he was doing a lot of movies like Bade Miyan Chote Miyan. You had Hum. You had a lot of these kind of movies in the 90s. Suryavamsham. So these kinds of movies where the star value of Amitabh Bachchan has to be on the forefront, and the character which he's playing is pretty much consistent through all of these. I mean, he's playing the same character in every movie. That was the trap which he managed to come out of when he transitioned. So in this movie, he's not Amitabh Bachchan the star. He is playing the character, fully committed to the
Yeah.
character. There are no specific elevations moments for him. There is no fanfare moment for him when Amitabh Bachchan is there. He's just a character. I
You don't
mean,
need one. For him, you don't need one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And Rajinikanth himself is in the same category, I feel, that you don't need one. I mean, you could have had him just play the character and avoided the tropes. I mean, the first 20 minutes, which I'm saying, the introduction fight scene and the song sequence, you could have just removed it. Think,
They gave him a flip phone
yeah,
because he's Rajinikanth.
yeah, but that works for me. That works for me. It's like, that flip phone works for me. And the good thing is now flip phones are coming back, and the flip
Yes.
phones earlier, because flip phones have been out of fashion for over 15 years, so now the flip phones are back, and they gave him, that is how you give him subtle characterization. Because if you avoid the first, and that whole glasses ka thing which they gave him, that glasses wala gimmick, that every time he does the encounter, he has to do that glass thing, and that spectacles become shades. So fine, I can accept that. So those kinds of subtle gimmicks which he does can satisfy the hardcore Rajnikant base, but that whole introduction, that introduction fight sequence and the pointless dance and song number, which did not work for me at
Also,
all.
I don't know what the lyrics are in Hindi. It is just more and more testimonial characterization.
No, no idea. Yeah, something maybe, but lyrics don't matter. Anyways, that song was done solely for Instagram Reels purposes, and it kind
This
of,
this does feel like a religion when you listen to the song. He's like आया रे आया, and then he's like ये ऐसा है, ये वैसा है, smart है, ये है. I'm like, I will be the judge of that. Okay, show don't tell.
that is the problem with star-driven movies. Now that the same happened with Goat as well. In the Goat opening song, he's talking about, there are lyrics where he talks about क्या है? Steal the enemy's heart and convert him from, make him, turn him into a fan, and then he himself is not able to follow his advice with neither Menon nor his son. I'm like,
Or his own son.
right na? मैंने कहा, what is the point of that song then? Like, you're giving out the advice to the public, and you as a character are not yourself able to follow the same. Anyway, so that is the pitfalls of the star system, where Rajnikant has to have this opening fight and then this intro song where he comes out and celebrates everything. But when they get into the plot and when they get into a series, so okay, for me in the first half, the investigation portions, they work for me. That, they take their time with the investigation,
Yeah.
and that is actually competently directed. You are with the moments. It is happening. It is kind of like a real time
Especially
investigation.
when they find the helmet.
Yeah.
Okay, that yeah. From then on, I was like, okay, fine. Like something is happening, and it's well directed, so you can follow it properly. Yeah.
From there till Rajnikant carries out the execution of Guna, the movie works for me. I was like, okay, the movie managed to win me over. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm actually, that's where Rajnikant, I've forgotten that this is a Rajnikant movie, and I'm seeing Athiyan as a character, that he is part of all these proceedings. And yes, there is a certain amount of aura to him, and there is a certain level of power to him, which we are going to witness. But still, that entire segment worked for me, which was carrying forward to a certain extent when Amitabh Bachchan kind of redirects him over to Guna's thing, and then Rajnikant conducts an investigation over Guna. It managed to kind of stay till that, and it faltered as soon as Rana Dakubati was introduced. I was like, now the movie has taken a different tangent, and now it has became a Rajnikant movie again.
Okay, there's one thing I felt when it comes to what you were telling. I felt that Athiyan did not try to insert himself into the case hard enough
Yeah,
till the case came to him.
yeah,
A more proactive protagonist would have immediately gone to Chennai.
yeah,
He was sitting there watching it on TV and waiting for the call to come. And when it came, sure, you have that moment of okay, phone aaya na, and that right
yeah.
because it's Rajni. That's the
It
what
is,
we talked about, the star moment.
yeah, yeah,
But you try, you keep calling.
yeah,
Okay, you
exactly.
want the case.
Not even keep calling, man. I am saying you just go there. You go in
You
the
go
city.
there.
You
You
go in
start
the
you start
city, and
investigating by yourself.
you can have the same Rajni wala moment, plus the fact maintain the character as in he unofficially came to Chennai and he's been conducting his own investigation
Yes.
unofficially, and then
Yes.
finally when the call comes to him, he's like, I'm going to solve this in 2 days because I exactly have been
I know what is
conduct
happening.
exactly that would have maintained the character and had the mass moment as well.
You know how it would have properly entangled into it? Uh, he arrives in Chennai exactly when Guna escapes from the hospital. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he starts the investigation. I will find this guy and I will kill him immediately.
Or what
Okay.
could
And
have
then the
happened
guilt
was,
can come.
if he did, like if they wanted to play it off as though he cannot in cross over jurisdictions because there are department rules or all, he could have easily sent battery,
Yeah.
because battery is a character anyway. He does not believe in red tape. You are literally seeing him. He's because later what
Yeah.
happens when
He's
they are
hacking
invest,
around.
he's hacking around. He kind of fakes himself as a marketing guy and enters the Haiju's ka where he's collecting
Hmm.
information. So we are already seeing him doing that. He could have done that from the beginning itself, and
But
that would
not
have
very proactive. Yeah.
actually helped him come to the conclusion that Guna is not the criminal.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You still needed that redemption thing where he realizes that he's wrong. Okay, that's why I
Maybe.
said that when Guna escapes, so what you show the character to be competent, but he because he is emotion driven, you can show that oh, in this
Yeah.
moment he's incompetent.
Yeah, because he
Okay,
chooses,
that is
he's blinded by emotion, which is why
yes.
he himself made some mistakes, which would have
So the
been
parallel investigation could be finding Guna after he's escaped from the hospital. That
yeah,
would have made more
and
sense.
then his kind of the apology which he offers to Guna's mom, it would have hit harder,
Yes. Yeah.
because he would have been like, I was blinded by emotion. And that is the thing, right? That is what I meant in the beginning when I said that both Guna and Saranya affect Rajinikanth's character in the same way. He is driven by guilt in both the instances. First of all, he is driven by guilt of not being able to protect Saranya's character, and in the second instance, he is driven by guilt of committing the mistake. If they had managed to preserve his character rather than hyper focus on his star image, we could have had a much better product than what we have, and arguably what we have is still a good product overall, I feel.
Is Surya just as big of a star as like maybe Talapati Vijay or Rajnikant?
No.
No. Okay.
He was like, Surya is one actor where he can do both. So basically, there was a time where he was one of he's basically Vijay's contemporary. They are
Okay.
closer in age, and both of their careers also began somewhere in the same time, and both of them share a similar. They both come from film families. Like Surya's father was an actor, and Vijay's father was a director. So both of them share similar journeys, and at one point in time, Surya was also directly competing with Vijay, and the movies he was doing were also like, quite in that same category as well, star vehicles as well. But Surya has
Okay.
managed to carve out a niche where he also does performance oriented movies where his acting gets highlighted. That is why he did a film like Jai Bhim where his star image was completely at the back front.
Yeah, that is why I touched the topic. Was like Jai Bhim mein the star thing it was not like a hindrance.
Yeah. And I feel this movie would have worked if an actor like Surya would have done it.
Yeah.
Because they could have avoided, the director would have focused on the story which he wanted to tell, and the extra minutes which he focuses on performing those, elevating the star status of Rajnikant,
Yeah.
he could have spent it on character work,
And like fleshing things out.
fleshing things out.
That's what you need
Exactly.
constantly. This is
Exactly.
a drama.
This
This
is a
is less
drama.
action, more
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
But then oh yeah, but then it turns into why do you need to have him come out of a helicopter and then open the
Oh
door inside?
God,
Like
that
all star stuff.
That stars, okay, the only star scene which worked for me, the only star scene which worked for me was when Rajinikanth's character gets transferred over to that property that division where he has to he another division. I don't know the translation in Tamil. I know the translation, but I don't know what you call it in Hindi. Basically, I think he starts handling white collar crimes or economic crimes, financial crimes. That
Hmm.
financial division, he get transferred there, and then he somehow comes back to, and this particular case again, he collects all the evidence of financial frauds against Haiju's, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when he comes, he's waiting in the lobby in that that pose. That is the only mass
That
moment which
works.
worked for me,
Yeah, that works.
where you see that comeuppance and you see that yes, this is justified. Ki haan, the
Because
where
they have a
he
setup for it, na?
they have a
They have a
setup
setup.
for it. Yeah, that is the only instance where I felt that yes, this mass movement is with the character and it works.
Hmm.
But in every other aspect, no. Like, okay, the man is in his 70s. I don't expect him to fight and be as he was back in the day. And it clearly shows he's not fighting. He's not. He can't do his stunts. He's only standing in one position.
He can't
They
even turn his neck like this. He has to turn
Yeah,
it entirely.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They choreograph the fight sequence in such a way that he only has to do minimal movements, and it is
They had to do
blatant.
POV. They had to do POV action scenes for
So
to just.
that exactly. So that POV thing, and like, okay, the POV thing. It is a clever way to hide the fact that Rajnikant can't do his stunts, but you can't use a POV to glorify an action sequence when you have already used a POV to you show a very heinous crime.
Yes, yes.
That sends mixed messages. I feel that is not how you do it. That's not a good way, because they use a POV
Yeah,
in
that
a
is a good
very
point. That's a good point.
they use a POV in a very effective way in the beginning, because that's a good way. So coming back to the red herrings, where I wanted to kind of touch upon the red herrings which the director sets it up with. So the first thing which they set up, the like the topic which we were talking about, right, that they first start the movie with the education thing and then they transfer over to the encounter thing. So like the movie begins with the fact that yes, she's kind of doing something related to the teacher. Sarnia's character is doing something related to the education thing, but then she discovers that there are some criminals who are using the school for some nefarious purposes, and that's how she comes into contact with Rajnikant's character.
That should have been the beginning of the film.
Yeah, that should have been the beginning of the film. And the thing is, like, they set it up in such a way that I told you, right, Rajnikant coming out and revealing her name in the public, that was a very noob move. I feel the writer wanted to deliberately set up a red herring that because of this is why she is getting getting killed and getting attacked
Mm-hmm.
as a
Yeah, yeah.
retaliation. So they wanted to deliberately set it up that it was related to that case, whereas it wasn't. It was a
Was
completely
not.
different case. So they were deliberately setting up the red herring, which is why I feel they had that moment where Rajnikant praises her in public, because no cop will do that. No cop will do that. Witnesses are supposed to be protected. Their
Protected.
information can never get revealed in public. That is supposed to be confidential.
Speaking of protected, uh, this movie has a goat moment, and we will here on refer to these as goat moments. Okay, you have
Yeah.
an accused in custody in the hospital.
Yeah.
Leave a guard outside
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ward,
yeah,
please.
exactly. Oh, yes, it was a good moment. Now to think about it, the same thing happens. Okay, incompetency of police officers. They went to the same academy where Gandhi went.
Yeah,
But
लाइक हॉस्पिटल
okay,
के बाहर दो दो है. ओके,
okay,
वो हॉस्पिटल वार्ड के बाहर नहीं दो रह सकते तुम लोग.
yeah, but in a way, I can understand. In a way, it did not. I mean, it did not. It was not that blatantly bad because it was her first assignment.
Also, the compounder was in on it, so
Yeah,
I think,
it's
yeah,
plausible. It was not as bad as the goat one
yeah. If
because
somebody from the hospital would have been in on it in court, it
yeah,
would have been slightly more
and
plausible.
also the fact that Gandhi is a trained agent. He has done so many missions before. Here, this Rupa's character, this is her first mission. So I
First mission.
understand if she committed that kind of blunder. I understand that, okay, this is
Hmm.
the first time she's doing it, so I can pass away with it. But yeah, that I can. It was a goat moment for sure. It was a goat moment for sure. And okay, now
The
coming to
social
the,
commentary thing that you wanted to talk about.
yeah, yeah. Social. Before touching on that, I just quickly I had to talk about one more thing. Quickly, one more thing. Yeah, that whole POV moment where we see her reaction, Saranya's reaction. That her reaction is
Hmm.
that she, they deliberately make it as though she's seeing someone she knows before. Her
Yeah.
reaction, her reaction convey the fact that she's seeing someone familiar, which was another deliberate red herring to set up the fact that it when later they come out and say that it was Guna, that we believe it, but then we reveal that she sees that guy, that random guy, that goon, but they argue, I mean, she knows who the goon is because she has already seen him before, like in her previous attempt of life earlier in the day when the truck is kind of trying to hit her. So she knows
Hmm.
that character as well. But it was a little weak moment, but I felt okay, fine. That's what I'm saying. That was a plot contrivance where, they were deliberately setting
Yeah.
it
Yes.
up as to make sure we as an audience also believe that Guna is the culprit, which is why the encounters have to be, justified.
Do you think, if you're familiar with the director outside of Jai Bhim, I think this director believes that in the brutality of the crime.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you watch, if you've seen Jai Bhim, na, so you see a lot of time is put into showing the brutality of the crime. The
Yeah.
same they do, yeah. So here also it's the same. They
And
spend a lot of time.
okay, they spend a lot of time, but after a point of time, I was so tired of the same shot again and again repeating. They keep hammering the. I mean, it's like hammering a point, and you
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
hammering it with the same hammer shot. कि उसके सर पे पड़ रही है. I mean, come on, yaar. How many times are you going to
It's
reuse that same
okay.
shot?
This is a fun scene where a lot of characters are written in this way. This is them watching the scene. Yeah,
हाँ,
it's like this.
हाँ.
It's like constantly doing the same thing.
I mean,
Uh,
it's like,
one with Rana Raghuvatty in the prison where he's being talked about and he's watching this. He's throwing the phone away. Okay, yeah. It's again a plot device that people have started to use.
anyway, so okay, one thing again, another thing which I felt was a missed opportunity was Amitabh Bachchan's character knows that Athiyan is someone who commits these kinds of encounters. And what happens is when he finally finds out the goon, the guy in Andhra, who again, I don't believe for a fact that Rajinikanth can take on that guy, but still, okay, he takes on that guy. Somehow we see that he makes use of the environment, like he hits
Hmm.
him on the head with that some kind of pipe, or there is an the set he bangs his head on the table, something like that. So I can understand the fact that okay, Rajinikanth is able to take on the guy through sheer technique rather than physical prowess. But then what happens, that character gets sliced off, his neck gets sliced off in his custody. I had a feeling there will be a confrontation between Amitabh Bachchan's and
Yeah, yeah. Is that maybe you killed him?
maybe you killed him, because
Yeah, it happens.
there is a precedent set behind. This is what happens, and this time genuinely Rajnikant would be like, I did not do it, this happened. So I felt that there might be a
And
confrontation
you need
scene.
a classic moment where, because it is too personal, you take the main character away from the case.
Yeah, yeah, something like, I mean,
But
okay,
that did not
i
come.
I feel okay, it's fine, but it technically happened, right, when they transfer him.
Yeah.
It did happen. So what I felt was they kind of were, maybe I felt they would have gone over that route and kind of set up that confrontation between Amitabh Bachchan and Rajnikant. That's where I feel Amitabh Bachchan as a character understands why Rajnikant's character is doing it, and he also is aware that Rajnikant's character Athiyan competently investigates everyone, and once he's 100% sure he's got the right person, then only he does the encounter. So I believe somewhere in the back of the mind, Amitabh Bachchan's character knows that whoever Rajinikanth is executing is actually the correct person until Guna. Until Guna. Which is why I feel that Amitabh Bachchan, even though he has his morals, he still somewhere has a soft spot for Rajinikanth, and he somewhere believes that, yeah, whatever he's doing, it is generating results, and so far he's
Yeah, there
been
is something there. Yeah.
going after the right people. Otherwise, there would have been a confrontation. At least there would have been a scene where they argue, where Amitabh Bachchan's character kind of doesn't trust that maybe he's sliding back in his own way, in his old ways. So I felt that was
Would
one
have
thing
made it
which
better. It would have
would have
made
made
it
it
better.
better, because I feel, yeah, that's how you kind of reinforce the fact that you have these two characters at the opposing end. Both of them are talking about justice, but both of them have different ways of going about justice.
And like, and um how convict how sort of like Amitabh Bachchan's ideologies are like, how staunch he is with his ideology, right?
And you see, the dynamic which they were going for, it is basically the same dynamic as Charles Xavier and Magneto.
Hmm.
It's like one person, both of them have the same, I mean, both of them are not necessarily bad people. Both of them have their own set of morals and own set of ideologies based on their life experiences. And both of them, they share a lot of similarities and they are friends. But when it comes to one particular thing, they have to be different. Like they have to be on the opposite ends.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
but yeah, that is what I'm saying. Like I missed that confrontation, which is why I felt that this could have benefited from a few extra scenes. If they had sacrificed the first 20 minutes, at least if they had cut out one action scene and focused on one kind of this kind of a confrontation, it would have made better. Because end maybe when they have that pointless fight scene in the underground subway, that was also, I feel, was not
Hmm.
necessary, where all the characters are having a fight sequence. Like Fahad Fasil's character Battery is having a fight sequence, Rupa is fighting, his wife is shooting, and then Rajinikanth is fighting. I'm like, we already have so many Rajinikanth fight scenes, why do you need one
Why
more
do
fight
you
scene?
need people from Thailand or some other
No,
Asian
but
country coming
that
in?
is different, that is
All of that,
different.
even that is not necessary. You could have had like somebody from India only shoot
Okay, I mean, it was
Fahad
just
Fasil.
to it was
It's
just
just
to show.
wasting. This is wasting time. That's what.
I mean,
How
see,
much money Rana Raghupathi
yeah,
has.
Ranu Daggubati. Yes, that is the only thing which they wanted to come out and say that look at this character. Ultimately, Rana Daggubati's character doesn't work because firstly
At all.
he is not set up from the beginning. He comes like right in the second half, in the middle of the second half or something. He's introduced.
Mm.
So when you introduce a villain like that, he then becomes a caricature. And now let's come to the social commentary, which will be the last section of this.
And
So
quickly, let's go over the social commentary. Yeah.
so this guy, this director, he's clearly talking. He comes from a bias, and he comes from a different perspective, a caste based perfect perspective. He always has that perspective where he always portrays the like marginalized communities in such a way that the society never treats them right. In every instance, the society always, they have a prejudice against these kinds of people, and the prejudice is that even in, it is very subtle in every
Even
like
in Jai Bhim, it was there.
I mean, of course, Jai Bhim is all about that. Jai Bhim is a
Yeah.
what is Jai Bhim? It is Ambedkar's that thing,
Yeah.
right? Which all of those. So that is a
Even in this
blatant.
film, Amitabh Bachchan's character is reading something by Ambedkar.
Yeah, but Rajinikanth's character is reading something by Netaji, Subhash Chandra Bose.
Yeah.
So they portray it like that. So which is the kind of dichotomy they are going for, right? Which is the kind of, that is what I feel, that they set up a lot of things, interesting things, which could have enhanced the material if they had a few more scenes of those ideology clashes. This had
Yeah.
good drama. That is why I enjoy this movie. That's what I'm saying. Like, anytime this movie touches those themes, it is the strong point, because they have a lot of ideological topics they touch, and they are done in a very tasteful manner and in a very authentic manner. The conflicts, which are the only time when the movie suffers, is when they go over to celebrating Rajinikanth's star power. So I told you that when Rana Daggopathy's character arrives, the movie falls flat, and then finally it manages to come back. When the movie again draws you back in, when we see Rajinikanth go get transferred and then conduct his investigation and come back to Rana Daggopathy, and then that moment happens, and once more the movie again again falls flat in the climax, where you have that whole action sequence where that helicopter, and then he lands in the helicopter. I'm like, why is Rana Daggopathy waiting? You could have easily climbed into the chopper and go driven away. He's waiting for the chopper to land, and then he's sliding and then he's walking. I'm like, why, man? Just go na.
I don't know. Was it also like, doesn't he do the same thing in Shivaji? That he lands from a chopper?
I mean, yeah, that is there, but it is not a reference for to Shivaji. That's for sure. It is just for his swagger. I mean, it's like
Isn't he Amitabh Bachchan in Shivaji as well? Isn't his name Amitabh Bachchan in Shivaji?
Yeah, it's when he comes back as that guy.
Maybe this movie is more meta than we think.
Maybe. See, in the Tamil version, it's like about MGR, right? MGR was a celebrated actor who was the chief minister of Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
And Shivaji was also an actor. He was MGR's contemporary. So that is why when in Shivaji the Boss, when Rajinikanth comes back as the bald guy, he tells that his name is MGR.
Oh, in Hindi it's Amitabh Bachchan.
In Hindi it's Amitabh Bachchan, because there are no contemporaries, na? Because in Amitabh Bachchan you have, I mean, they could have gone for some, arguably Shivaji and Amitabh Bachchan doesn't make any sense, but MGR and Shivaji make sense because they were two contemporaries. So that is why it was a very a cheer-worthy moment for the Tamil cinema audience. So in they say Bachchan, yeah, his name is Bachchan, not even Amitabh, it's just Bachchan.
Yeah, Bachchan.
Yeah, something Bachchan. They don't use Amitabh's name properly, but yeah, Bachchan. It is a reference to Amitabh Bachchan, of course. So that was a thing, but yeah, I understand what you are going with, and yeah. So to just close up the fact, everything. I think everything I've covered. I'll just go over the notes.
As well.
Yeah, I'm also going through my notes. I think everything I've covered. Shooting sequence, the POV one, the problem I had with the POV, that is also addressed. Red herring is addressed. Star versus story is addressed. The mass moment that worked, that is addressed. Social commentaries. Social commentary. I was talking about the social commentary. So when it comes to this director, he talks about these kinds of themes, and he takes up these themes because I believe he comes from that community and he has faced that prejudice in his life. I believe that is the case. That is why he feels strongly about this, and whatever he has portrayed is arguably true as well, because that's how police and everyone in the society treats these people from a certain community. It's like, even if they are able to educate themselves and even if they are able to uplift their lives, they still face this prejudice everywhere. The policemen will always treat them as a criminal. Like in schools, the children from this community, the teachers will always pass these kinds of remarks that I can't help if you don't understand English. I mean, here it is portrayed in a very diplomatic way, but when it comes to these schools, they are treated even harshly. I mean, you literally see the teacher hitting her when she's sleeping. So that kind of violence is just, I mean, that is how that community is portrayed, and we see Rajinikanth's character come in support of these people. He's basically the friend who helps Guna escape. he makes a statement. Rajnikant Athiyan says,
Yes,
"Na,
yes, yes.
the fact that he helped him for a friend says a lot about him rather than the people who are doing this kind of job for money. So that says a lot about his character rather than that. That is why let him go." So yeah, so these are the things which I feel where the director is talking about his politics and using Rajnikant to convey his politics to the people. So I
It's
feel,
it's it's a staple with every film. Every writer will try to say something,
yeah.
or he or she believes. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is something which is very common with in this director's theme. And coming back to the context of the examinations, so I don't know how aware you are about what politics in Tamil Nadu and all. What happens is
I
the
know about the neat drama that went on. I know
so
about
the
that.
so the need drama, there is a they touch upon it. That is why the
I
character is
remember. I got the reference.
so the need.
Vishnu and I had a long conversation about it actually
Yeah,
when it was happening.
yeah. So the need thing has been happening for a long time. So this NEET debate is, I mean, arguably, I feel that the politicians over in Tamil Nadu, they take the wrong stance. They are like, we have to abolish NEET. That is completely wrong. You
Hmm.
cannot abolish NEET. If you abolish NEET,
Anyone
then
can just become a doctor.
everyone will join private colleges and everyone will pay a certain amount of fee and then go there. The politicians are coming up with this narrative that only the rich and affluent are able to crack the NEET. No, that is not the case. You still have to study. Yes, of course, there may be some people who manipulate. I mean, if someone's politician's son and all, of course they can bypass these. But for a majority of the population, these kinds of entrance examinations are the deciding factor, and you need to be able to study these things. Now, coming back to how like it is portrayed in this movie, yes, for someone like Guna's family, it is hard for them to crack NEET because they are not getting the right education, and they are
Yeah.
not coming. I mean, they need extra help, but they fall into the trap of coaching institutes. So as soon as I saw that they were trying to target NEET, I faced palm because I was afraid the director is going to go the route of the politicians agenda of anti-NEET sentiment. I was not. I was like, if they were going to go there, this movie would have been completely bad. It would have ruined. This would have been ruined for me. But thankfully, they did not go there. What they did was they were blaming the coaching mafia, which I feel is fair enough. Which I
Is
feel
fair.
I understand that yes, this happens. This is something which has been going on for a long time. No, before the high juice era itself, this has been going on. So I understand that the coaching mafia needs to be stopped, and the coaching mafia and the government definitely does these kinds of back end deals and all. That is something which I completely understand. But yeah, outright come out, if an incompetent director would have made this movie, they would have completely come out and portrayed the anti-NEET sentiment. Because what happens is the general population, what they do is they are against the NEET examinations itself. That is the stupidest thing ever. You cannot be against the examination. It's like saying I'm against the UPSC examinations because
Because one of the teachers' protests was like, "Oh, we will not release the 12th standard papers." I'm like, how is that helping?
no, I know. So that was like, okay, fine. I mean, okay, that is something which I know that they were going to show that that's how they put pressure, which I feel is plausible
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it happened. It happened in this case as well, the Kolkata case as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
It's just pointless to have
no,
that as
it
a
is,
protest.
and also
But
and one
it's the future
another.
of the kids now.
It is the future of the kids. I understand, but it is also like they're also
Like
protesting for.
8th 9th के मत निकालो चलेगा एक बार. But
No,
10th
no,
12th
I
very important.
no, but I understand. The thing is, they wanted to protest it because it happened in a school, in a government school,
Yeah.
where if the teacher's life it's not safe, then what's the point? So I
I
understand
know. The
what they
severity
did.
of the situation
Yeah,
justifies it. I understand. It's just
and
that if the case had not been solved, a
yeah,
lot of people, a lot of kids' future would have been ruined.
yeah, and one thing which I want to appreciate in this movie is how they portray the public's reaction to these kinds
Mm.
of the armchair criticism, and how media, the whatever we see in media, kind of manipulates the public into taking drastic actions. I mean, first when when this case comes out, they collectively blame Guna. They are all like they are going to blame Guna, and
And
then
then
they
yeah, and then
villainize him,
uh,
and then the encounter gets celebrated. Rajinikanth is given a
yes.
hero's welcome, everyone is celebrating him, and then everyone is like, no, encounter him, encounter him, encounter him. And then in the end, the same thing happens again. It's like when
Yeah.
Rana Daggubati's character is revealed to be behind everything, they are clamoring, they are protesting for his encounter. I'm like, yeah, this is how public behaves, this is
People
how
get swayed very easily. People
people
get
get
swayed.
swayed very
Media
easily.
media narratives are
Yeah.
people are very weak to media narratives. Yeah.
And what Amitabh Bachchan's statement is, it's very true. It's like, yes, justice delayed is justice denied, but justice hurried is justice buried. So that statement is powerful, and which is why I feel, yes, actually, this movie was absolutely necessary, and how they handled this theme was definitely commendable. That yes, there was some nuance, which is why I feel that the director is capable of coming out with some things. Maybe Rajinikanth should have had the balls to completely let the director do whatever he wanted.
But that would never happen.
No, it's not like that. It has already happened in a previous instance. If you've seen Kabali,
I have not. No.
if you watch that movie, that is what happens. Rajinikanth is completely subdued throughout the movie, but that movie did not
Did it
work.
work though?
No, it did
Okay,
not
yeah, that's
work.
what I'm saying.
But
The same
see,
thing happened with Salman Khan. He tried something new
wait,
with
wait,
Moonlight.
wait. I'll tell you, it did not work because the story in Kabali is horrendous.
Okay.
The central conflicts and everything which is portrayed there is absolutely dog shit. That movie. If in this movie the central conflict and themes, there is a lot of substance. The
Hmm.
drama works. In Kabali, there is no drama. Whatever is, it is subpar bad drama. Which is why it did not work for me. Which is why I felt like at least you could have done something with the star.
Yeah.
And the same problem is with Kala as well. The next movie which he did, Kala. He did the same, like he worked with the same director for two movies. Kala
Okay.
and Kabali were made by the same guy, Paranjit.
Hmm.
And that guy Paranjit, he is like, he always makes these kinds of caste-based movies, and he does. I mean, he's not subtle about it. That is the thing. He is not nuanced about it, as how this director is. So that is why I feel this director has done a much better job in trying to balance Rajnikant's star power and simultaneously making sure that the themes of these movies are working. I feel
Okay.
I would rather watch this movie than watch Kala or Kavali ever again.
And let's put a pin on that. And on a positive note, uh,
Yeah.
wrap the conversation up. I
So
think we've done like it's a 30
yeah,
minute
extra
extra.
30 minute. I think, yeah, overall this movie definitely is, I feel the word of mouth is going to be positive and people are going to watch this movie in the coming days, and this is going to pick up. I
Let's
feel this
see.
is definitely
I
going to.
hope it does because it will lead to good conversations.
Yeah, because this is a movie. I feel Jailer. Yes, Jailer was a different sort of a movie. This movie definitely needs to pick up, and there are a lot of positives in this movie. I mean, I feel that
Yes.
compared to Goat, I would watch this movie again because Goat has a lot of flaws. Compared to that, the same pitfalls which Goat had, this movie also suffered through. But still, this movie did better handling of the characters than Goat.
Hmm.
So on a positive side, I feel, yes, this movie is something which people definitely need to watch. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can miss it, you can even watch it in OTTs. Not a problem, but yeah, you should definitely watch this movie because you will. I mean, yeah, it has everything. It has entertainment and it has a good social message which people need to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think pretty much I've covered everything. If you have anything, you
I
can add.
also no, no, I've covered everything. Uh, we can just end the discussion right now. Hopefully, people enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. चलो इधर recording stop.